you can help fight deadly diseases like RSV and influenza while getting paid for your time. Velocity Clinical Research is now seeking clinical trial participants in your area. Participants can receive compensation for study-related time. No health insurance is needed to join. Find a study near you at velocitytrials.com. That's velocitytrials.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. The captain, Vershawn Jackson.
I don't care what anybody says. I think losing Evan Cooper is a blow. It hurts. I'm not saying that
they got an upgrade. Yeah.
I didn't say we didn't recover from it.
With John Butler, since he's been with the Bills since 2018, secondary coach, passing game coordinator a few years in, he's had the number one passing defense twice, and that's in the NFL. You know, that's as high as football gets. So again, his resume is just very impressive. Very impressive.
The weather is hot, the kids are out of school, and you're on your way to the lake and summer road trips. Are you getting to your vacation spot comfortably, or is your car letting you down? Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride for summer road trips and beyond. Mullen Motors.
No tag-on, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
Adoption of teens from foster care is a topic not enough people know about, and we're here to change that. I'm April Dinwiddie, host of the new podcast, Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Each episode brings you compelling real-life adoption stories told by the families that live them with commentary from experts. Visit adoptuskids.org/podcast or subscribe to Navigating Adoption, presented by Adopt US Kids. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Administration for Children and Families and the Ad Council.
Mario fue pintor más de 30 años. Cuando me dijo que se le estaban olvidando las cosas, fue difícil. Un día me dijeron que pintara el marco del lado por dentro y pinté el lado de afuera.
Yo le diría a la gente que le diga a su familia lo que está pasando con él.
Si algo se nota diferente, podría ser Alzheimer. Es momento de hablarlo. Visita alz.org/nuestras historias para saber más. Un mensaje de the Alzheimer's Association y the Ad Council.
Whether you like fishing together or fishing to get away, for the thrill of reeling in a big one, or just going out to have a good time, on the banks of your local pond, at a bend in a river, or on one of our many lakes and reservoirs, you'll always find the perfect place to cast a line. Here, beneath Nebraska skies. Start planning your next fishing adventure today at letsfishnebraska.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait. Apply now.
My early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
But it gave my mom and me more time to plan together.
Talk to your family about seeing a doctor. Go to alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. This is the Don't Punt Hour with former Nebraska receiver.
Throwing over the middle, completes the pass. He's got speed to the end zone. Touchdown. 45 yards.
And return specialist.
This time he beats the kicker and one more.
DeMornay Pierson-El.
Not only does the sideline have confidence in Pierson-El, but Pierson-El has confidence in Pierson-El.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome into the Don't Punt Hour. Once again, Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, come to weeknights. If you guys want to join the show, as we got no Royals on the airways, we are live. 402-464-5685. That is the Starter Heyman text line. You can always put a face to the voice to the streams as well. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and as always, Allo Channel 961. Without further ado, though, let's go ahead and bring him in. Good morning, Pierson-El. How's it going on this Tuesday night?
It's going well, enjoying a lovely day.
Yeah, it's nice. No complaints. Short weather report today. It's just nice weather. Just go out there, enjoy it, but listen to the show first. To start this thing off, I do want to talk about some college football later, but we haven't talked about this USA basketball team yet. Things are starting up. The Olympics are right around the corner now, the Paris 2024 Olympics. I'm just going to give you the roster, and it's going to be a little bit reflective on what I just talked about on the last show with Jeff Grace III of Nebraska basketball. Give you the roster. Tell me if you would omit any of these guys and insert somebody else. Because to me, there's one clear element that is lacking in this team severely. So here's the roster. Bam Adebayo, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, Anthony Davis, Kevin Durant, Anthony Edwards, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Jason Tatum. Anybody on that list that you would omit and put somebody else in there?
I would rather have Chris Paul out there.
Who do you swap him out with?
You said Devin Booker. Who else?
Yep. So Devin Booker, I'm going to give you guys that you would actually consider. Devin Booker, Anthony Edwards, Tyrese Halliburton. Maybe
it's Halliburton. It's him. Like he's good and whatnot. But I think what he brings to the table, they can easily replace, and he won't be bringing what Chris Paul could bring. Easy bucket, open three. He's a sharpshooter, good free throws. He's been over there and done things before to kind of. He's a good point guard to start off to get things going on. You got a lot of dudes that are stars and whatnot and are used to having the ball. You need a floor general to kind of facilitate things. Holiday is fine, but he would be, somebody to come off the bench when, Chris would need a break or whatnot. It makes me a little bit nervous. They don't really have a true point guard.
Yeah, I mean, Steph Curry is the closest thing you're going to get to it. Otherwise, you're looking at LeBron James simply for the playmaking. The other thing that glares out to me, who's your best three-point shooter outside of Steph Curry? Who's your three-point shooters? You got
KD's not on the team?
KD's on there.
KD.
All right, give me another one.
I mean, LeBron's not terrible.
Not terrible, but I'm talking. Give me a real three-point shooter, someone that we can consistently rely on. And as much as I want to give the head nod to Kevin Durant, I'm letting you have it because of his history. But last year, stinker, not good, not one I'd trust.
I feel like Devin Booker can be a three-point shooter.
Feel like or no? I need somebody that I know it can knock down the three-point shot. Steph Curry's the only one I trust.
I'm going with D-Book. I trust him enough.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask you about D-Book later because I'm going to talk about some of these young guys that maybe they can be surging stars because certainly Devin Booker or Kevin Durant, one of these guys need to do that because they need to bring that to Phoenix this upcoming season if they're going to have any hope. But I'm going to keep throwing this name out here. I know last season wasn't great, but his history, how he'd fit on this roster, how teams have typically played well. You need three-point shooters when you get to this European style. I will also omit Tyrese Halliburton. Give me Klay Thompson instead. That's what I mean. I want a real three-point shooter.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's a fair argument. Again, like I said, take Halliburton out and put Chris Paul in there. That's your three-point shooter right there.
Hey, I like Chris Paul. I'm a Chris Paul fan. I defend him too hard at times, and I can't even sign him up to be that three-point shooter. Why
not?
Well, we can look at his numbers. I don't think they're something
he is a pass-first point guard. Like he doesn't have to score, but he can easily score just with the rest of them. So, I mean, if you have him in an offense and he's not necessarily getting his shot off or having, a lot of shots and whatnot, but he's creating for everybody else, I mean, there's more value in that. He can knock down the open three. He can knock down the contested three. He can come off of screen and rolls and knock down the three or easy two. He can get to the lane and, again, still find open guys. So, like I said, I much rather that. I don't think they sent the invitation to Klay.
Nah, he got ghosted. Empty inbox. Warriors didn't email him back either. No, Warriors, they did it right. They're going to hang up his jersey. They did talk about it. It was actually more Clay that was like, it's time. Even though Clay really messed up, because at one point the Warriors guaranteed him $41 million, turned it down, and now it's a $20 million deal for him instead. So a little bit of hindsight being 2020, but he's on a new team. Maybe that's what he needs. But no, Chris Paul, about a 37% career shooter last year, 37% on the year. So again, you're not getting bad 3-point shooting. I need somebody that's sniffing right at 40 or just over.
So who would you put in that role then? Who's your outside of Clay? Outside of Clay.
Even a Buddy Hield. I'm not even kidding. I'd take a Buddy Hield on this roster. Someone that can just knock out 3-point shooters, lights out shooter. That's all I need, because you got enough playmaking. Now, like with Chris Paul, I don't got anything against it, but I think the playmaking's covered with what you got on that team. You could make an argument that maybe it's time you can give LeBron a rest. Steph Curry's going to be the point guard for a lot of it. You could argue that's where you swap in Chris Paul. Chris Paul's not a bad pull. I'd be okay if you swap
my thing is, if you insert Chris Paul into that, think of the shades of the Miami LeBron that we might see, of just coast to coast, and he doesn't have to worry about anything. He can just run and gun and dunk on people's heads. Or, Bam is out on the wing running and whatnot. Think of the lobs, the opportunities that, he would set Bam up. Or, Anthony Edwards.
Joel Embiid, Anthony Davis.
They're all slashers. They all can thrive off of what Chris Paul can do, but not nearly any of the guys that I just really listed aren't exactly what Chris Paul can do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's if it's a game of opportunity, or if it's a game of offensively guys and whatnot, why not have a guy that puts your slashers or your scorers or your high flyers in a better position to do what they do best, to take the other additional stresses or the other additional weight carrying that you have to do. Look, all y'all got to do is run. We got a guy that's going to find you the ball when he turns the corner. He's throwing it. He's gonna see you, and I think that might be able to slow down the 3-point shooting of the other end, because the dudes can knock down the three, they'll get it back out. You got LeBron running down the court. You got Anthony Edwards running down the court. You got Bam running down the court, and you got to pass a true point guard, a pass first guy that is literally getting it in their hands and getting it to them at what they do best, which is driving to the lane or, creating a fast bucket or whatnot. You're speeding the game up.
I think you're convincing me. I wasn't expecting it. I think you might be right with Chris Paul. Because I talk about it all the time. What's the one thing the USA lacks compared to all the other teams? What does Canada lack compared to all the other teams? Because they're kind of in that same circuit, AAU, ball movement. Ours notoriously is just significantly, whatever you want to say, worse, just not focused on. I don't think it's a fact that we're just that bad at it. I think it's just an element that we lack focus on. It's playmaking. We're just so bad at moving the ball compared to all these other teams. When we get to this foreign play, international, FIBA, Olympics, whichever one it is, Chris Paul might be a better fit than I'm even realizing, which is also why if you have the Spurs on your schedule, good luck. Chris Paul.
I'm saying, like, okay, what if they're in a half-court set, and the one thing that Chris Paul continuously does, he makes the right decision and he makes the right pass.
Mm-hmm.
So if you hedge or not hedge, his floater is amazing. It's probably 90% in majority of the time. Okay, so at some point in time to stop the easy two, because he's gonna blow by whoever's defending him. That's just what it is. He's gonna turn the corner. Either he's got the easy two, somebody's stepping up, he's lobbing it, it's a dunk that's creating energy, getting the team involved in things or whatnot, or somebody's crashing in, he's kicking out, and you got an open uncontested shot, which, I mean, all of y'all are NBA pros. You should be able to make, an open shot. So it's creating, easier scoring opportunities for the rest of the team, instead of having LeBron on the team bringing up the ball and him playing LeBron ball.
Yeah, that's been a problem. It's like one of those things with LeBron where you don't want to take away from what he does best, but you see this all the time with teams he's on, is all those guys typically have a role get significantly reduced where they're trying to figure out how to play with LeBron as opposed to just play their own game. Who's going to be the leader of this team? Is it going to be LeBron?
Yes. I mean, that's just what it is. When it comes down to crunch time and everything like that, the ball's going to him. Between him and Steph.
What about KD? I feel like KD might try to be that guy to take those last second shots.
I would say depending on, who's hot or whatnot, and depending on what type of shot that you might need. If it's a 3-point or something like that, I would say KD or Steph is taking a shot. If it's, easy to fadeaway or something like that, they're going to give the ball to LeBron on the left-hand post. He's going to back you down.
They better not.
That's what it's going to be.
He's blown an eye. As much as I love LeBron, he's actually not the guy I'd give the ball to for the last shot. Just simply just because it's usually just turns into a step back 3. I mean, that's kind of his go. I mean, it's fine. It is what it is. But if we're going to do that, let me just give it to KD, who I know is a better shooter and his release point's insane. He can shoot over anybody.
I mean, he's one of the taller players, so it's like good luck trying to stop that. So, I mean, I'm not gonna say he's not a leader. Will he have, his input and everything like that, and in respect of people? Yeah, he will. But I mean, when it comes to it, man, that's LeBron team. It's Team LeBron versus the rest of these other countries.
It better be. I mean, I just hope someone leads this team to a gold medal because this is the narrative, right? We're entering. This is the last opportunity. KD's probably not playing in 4 years. AD, hopefully, who knows injury wise. Joel Embiid, hopefully, who knows injury wise. Steph Curry, he probably make a case 4 years he can be here. LeBron, no. KD, no. A lot of these guys, they're on their way out the door here. 4 years, a lot of these guys might not get another shot. So I'm hoping that kind of carries through this, and there is some real leadership from the veterans. But what about the young guys? Which young guy is going to step up? Because this happens with FIBA. This happens with the Olympics. Because you remember Anthony Edwards, he made that massive step after playing with FIBA. In the past, it was a way bigger deal. It feels like we got away from it when playing for Team USA. It just isn't cool anymore. I'll never understand that one completely. But which young guy is going to really emerge as a result of this Olympic team and bring it to their team in the NBA next season?
I think Ant is the bottom line. He's gonna be the driving force. He's the closest thing athletically gifted with driving past people and the high flying that we've seen since a young LeBron. Clearly, he's been a lot vocal. He's been a focal point of things. He's been boisterous of sharing his opinions and what things and whatnot. Clearly, he's a man on a mission. So he's going to bring the intensity. He's going to, challenge these guys on and off the court. And I think, it's more it's more so of, I've already seen what I've done when, I've taken this next step. Now let me figure out what the next step is and hopefully bring, this type of energy and these lessons back to the team next year. And hopefully, they're in the finals instead of falling short.
What about Devin Booker? He's in a strange spot. Right? Because he's at this point where he was supposed to be the league's next superstar. I mean, he was on cloud 9 after dropping, I think it was 81 points, maybe. I can't remember I think it might have been 72 points what he dropped. And then he was kind of this darling of the NBA, the next star. And then Jason Tatum came up, and then Anthony Edwards, and then John Morant. And pretty soon we're already kind of looking past Devin Booker. Feels like he needs this. He needs this to kind of evolve and bring that to Phoenix because we've talked about it. Phoenix didn't even felt like they had a leader last year. Despite having 3 All-Stars, they lacked leadership.
They lacked a true point guard. He's an excellent scorer.
Oh, yeah.
He's I don't know who's, more of a gifted scorer on that team. Like you could put Book in that, you could put KD in that, you can put Steph of just, getting a bucket. I mean, Steph, you got to guard him, by the time he hits the other free throw. As soon as he steps across half court, it can go in. That's his range. KD, whatever you wanted, he can give it to you. Same thing with Book. However you want it, he can do the same thing. With that, I think they need to build. I don't think that the Phoenix Suns has done a good enough job of helping him. He's been consistently an all-star, consistently a scorer and whatnot, but they haven't it's all just put on him.
Yeah, I'll tell you where they tricked it off. When they got rid of Chris Paul.
Yes.
That was the point guard he needed to play with.
And it literally, I'm not saying it was one-on-one, but it's catch, shoot, hezzy, dribble, blow by, dunk, whatever. He was getting the ball in his hands different ways and figuring out how he could score.
Mm-hmm.
So it took off. It took things off of him to where he had to create the offense for everybody instead of the offense was creating around him, and he could run around. He's a high energy guy on either side of the floor and whatnot, and he could go off. So I don't think you'll be able to see that type of team unless they get some type of true pass first point guard in there to set the offense up and to kind of keep them on track and get the tempo and just allow Book just to be a true shooting guard. He's not a point guard.
Yeah, that's just what Devin Booker. That's why I'm so down on this year 2, even though you got Budenholzer. Still don't have a guy that I'd call your point guard. I still don't know if it's Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, whose turn is it on that half court set, because I don't believe that any of you guys are good enough playmakers to just go ahead and find.
They're all the same type of player.
Yeah, they're all the guys to get open.
KD is just a tall shooting guard. I mean, he plays for it. He's a tall shooting guard. Bradley Beal is a shooting guard. He's not a point guard. And Book, shooting guard. So if you got all shooters, that are looking to score first and shoot first, I mean, it's who can chuck the ball the quickest. You know what I mean? And it's live or die by the three instead of having a Chris Paul to orchestrate things and get things set and run people through screens, back screens, cross screens, down screens, and whatnot, and making these guys play.
Yeah.
So until they get a true guard, and I'm talking about like a Rondo, so along the lines of that, a Chris Paul. We don't need you to score 20 points a game, but we need 12 plus assists.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Paul is a walking double-double. He gonna get you 15 and 10 easily.
This is not where I expected this segment to go, but this is the Chris Paul segment, and I'm ready to start the petition to try to get him on this USA team.
Is it too late? Is it too late?
I mean, someone can get hurt. They can find it. They're already training. It might be too late. I'm not sure how that works now that they're actually officially all there. I mean, if someone gets sick, injury, Kawhi Leonard, or no, I know Kevin Durant's having a little bit of injury problems right now. He should be fine, but he's going to be missing this exhibition game. I think the window's pretty much closed. But you just look at Chris Paul's history and his playmaking ability and how he's made everyone around him better. Go start with the Clippers. That is not exciting and electric. You don't even think about DeAndre Jordan or Blake Griffin the way you do if it's not without Chris Paul.
He literally made Lob City.
Yeah, he did. Doc Rivers, as good as that team was, that was his first stain on his record. That team was good enough to at least make some finals appearances, but they never quite got there. Then he goes to Houston. What does he do there? Clint Capella becomes this absolute monster of a force at the center position that you can't quite figure out. They make some deep runs. James Harden finally has a teammate that works with him. And to me, that's more of a James Harden. Like, you found a guy that actually can work with James Harden. That's how good Chris Paul is. Then he goes to OKC, and they're not even supposed to be anybody. And then all of a sudden, he mentors Shai Gilgeous-Alexander into this all-star MVP runner-up that he was last season. Then he goes to the Suns. DeAndre Ayton has the best seasons after it looked like he was starting to hit his ceiling. Everywhere Chris Paul goes, the team gets dramatically better. And now, again, Chris Paul segment, you better buy the league pass for the Spurs because that is going to be broken. Think about Lob City. Now think about that with Victor Wembanyama. Good luck. Good luck. That team, Greg Popovich's mindset, the Spurs are going to be on that uphill climb to be serious problems in the West faster than people realize.
Didn't they get, other than Chris Paul, they got somebody else?
Let me look at their trade tracker. They're still pretty thin, but
I feel like they added somebody else that I was like, yeah, that like Pop is gonna that's gonna skyrocket them. Like, well, Chris Paul going there.
Harrison Barnes, they got Harrison Barnes. That's what it was.
That's who. Yeah.
And we lost DeMar DeRozan. We got Chris Duarte and a couple second round picks, cash considerations, the cherry on top. But
Harrison Barnes is a system guy too. So he was with the Warriors when they first started things going off. He was honestly it's funny because he left for the Mavs and got paid by the Mavs. Now Clay is kind of doing the same thing. But I mean, when Harrison left, Harrison, got paid. I want to say, I don't know if it was a max contract, but it was a pretty good contract. I think after their first or second championship, he did. Excuse me. But Harrison in that type of system, and you got Wemby to play off of, and then you got Chris Paul that's setting you up for stuff. Watch out for the Spurs. They're gonna play fundamentally sound basketball. It might be a little bit of boring, but they're gonna be at your neck.
Yeah, I don't even think it's going to be boring because on the defensive side, it's going to be like bad shooting night. All right, let's play the game. How many blocks does Victor get this night? Because he's got more blocks than 87% of players in NBA history after one season. Like this is what we're talking about. This guy, if he stays healthy, legitimate problem. Like is excited.
I want to see him and Joker go at it. That's a battle I want to see.
Yeah, the craftiness of Joker versus just the freak athleticism of Victor Wembanyama. And, there were some times where he got the better of him, but it's still Jokic clearly the better player. But, I mean, who knows? Because Victor, the one thing he's got better than Jokic is, well, maybe not. I mean, Jokic, you want to say he doesn't have as good as a jump shot, just the way it looks, but I think that thing goes in all the time. So, who knows? The game today certainly feels like it's running through the elite centers more than ever before, and Victor Wembanyama seems like the next chapter.
A different way than the centers that we've seen, Tim Duncan, Shaq, David Robinson, and those guys. It's not run how like things were with them at all. Like,
yeah,
the centers are knocking down threes, which is crazy.
Joel Embiid's kind of the last of his kind.
Yeah,
like honestly, like he's the last of his kind. Now, obviously, you still got the Steven Adams, the Zubaks. I'm saying the last of his kind is the last real superstar. I used to think it was like Zach Randolph. There'll always be room for Joel Embiid's. But it's clear if you're going to pay someone a supermax at the center position, it works a lot better if that center can also facilitate, bring the ball. I mean, it's just a game breaker. When you got a 5 that can play make like that, it just creates mismatch problems nonstop. And that's why Jokic is so good. That's why Victor is going to keep getting better. And Joel Embiid, he's got Paul George down there. Hopefully the process works then. The process is still alive as long as Joel Embiid is a 76er. But that's going to be another tale to see. Don't go anywhere, though. We're going to throw it to our first break. On the other side, we're going to talk some college football. So don't punt hour. DeMarne Pierson-El streaming in. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
Have you been accused of a crime? Is your freedom at stake? At Liberty Law Group, we are committed to the defense of liberty for those accused. Facing criminal charges is stressful, overwhelming, and full of uncertainty. At Liberty Law Group, we believe in treating every person with respect, compassion, and understanding. When legal troubles are keeping you up at night, trust Liberty Law Group to fight your battles. To learn more, call 877-42-LIBERTY. That's 877-42-LIBERTY.
Old School with DP and J.
You have to get ready for this long haul of a season that you put, hopefully, your blood, sweat, and tears into training to be in your best form. And whatever team does it at a higher percentage, that means if you have 100 players and you do it at a 90%, 90% of the guys do it on a 90% basis, generally it correlates to what your wins and losses.
93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're spending $300 a month. Binge drinking is the most common form of excessive drinking, which costs the United States more than $191 billion each year. By drinking less, you will save $300 a month. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
Hey, bestie! Whoa, how'd you snag that awesome set of wheels? I'm in the market for a new car, too. My friends at Members Own Credit Union. You're always in the driver's seat when it comes to your finances at Members Own. Always in the driver's seat, huh? Yep. They set you up with a loan that makes sense for your budget with great rates and top-notch customer service to boot. Looks like we're going to need to make a pit stop. Let's go. I'll drive. Hit the road to financial success and explore auto loan options with your best financial friend, Members Own Credit Union. For details, go to membersowncu.org/drive. Federally insured by the NCUA.
I think it's just vapor. Vaping is safer than smoking, isn't it?
There's really not even that much nicotine in them, right?
One vape pod has as much nicotine as one pack of cigarettes.
My kid
knows it's dangerous. 5.4 million American kids vape, and most think it's harmless. Get your head out of the cloud. Talk to your kid about vaping. Visit talkaboutvaping.org. That's talkaboutvaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Drinking and driving causes serious harm to friends, family members, and loved ones. In 2021, 65 people were killed in Nebraska by a car crash involving a drunk driver. Do not drink and drive. By drinking less, you can still be here for your loved ones. If you or loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Veterans, do you know what local, state, and federal benefits and services you're eligible to receive? Do you want help navigating the application or appeals process? Speak to your county veteran service officer or the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs State Service Office to see what's available to you and your family. You've served our country, now let us serve you. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov today. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
As an 18-year-old, I let my mistakes kind of take over my life. I was 0.5 credits away from completing high school, and I didn't do it.
10 years later, at age 28, Jackie finished her high school diploma.
When I found out that I was pregnant, I know that I had to do something for myself if I wanted to make her a better person and provide a better life for her. My family never stopped pushing for me to be better because they knew what I could become and who I could become as a person. My support team is amazing. The educational director, my sister, and even my 7-year-old daughter has just been more than the support that I could ask for. I've been given an opportunity, and I'm just thankful for it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in to the Dumb Punt Hour. Once again, Harrison Arns on the 1s and 2s at the 1040 Ticket Studios. If you guys want to join in, 402-464-5685. That's the Sarger Heyman text line. As we switch it up here, and we're going to talk some college football. And DeMornay Pierson-El, to start this one off, I want to talk about these second-year head coaches. As we're looking across the landscape, obviously the Big Ten in itself, they got a couple. Then you look at some more interesting ones. Auburn, I think Hugh Freeze is kind of an interesting case. I think it felt like a mediocre season, and then it felt like a 3-game loss in a row dumpster fire, New Mexico being one of those losses. Looking at these second-year head coaches, which one are you feeling the most nervous for? That's your Luke Fickles. That's your Matt Rules, your Deion Sanders. Obviously, Hugh Freeze, as I mentioned. Kenny Dillingham up at Arizona State. And I know Braun, I mean, we can talk about Northwestern, but I think he's feeling pretty good.
I would say, what's Oregon's coach? Lanning?
Yeah, Dan Lanning.
Him, just because you don't have Bo Nix. Bo Nix was the reason why that team excelled. Bo Nix won that team a lot of games. You got the Gabriel kid coming in.
Mm-hmm.
He ain't Bo. Bo was a first round quarterback. Regardless of what people said, he played a lot of football. He was a darn good football player.
Do you think Dylan will be a top 10 quarterback if he decides to go to the NFL? Do you think he'll be drafted top 10?
Who?
Dylan Gabriel. Like, what's his ceiling? It was a up and down at times for him, but I still think he
has to be more consistent to really, do some things. He's a shorter quarterback, so his numbers are going to have to be crazy, and he's going to have to almost, win the O'Brien and almost the Heisman to, really do some things. He, like I said, I think he's good, but he's not Bo. Bo made that team a lot better. He was closer to Herbert more than anything. If you just go back and look at his film, the passes that he was making and whatnot, he was the reason why they were in a lot of those games. And I mean, they lost to Washington, which was they were undefeated. So I mean,
Washington's the stacked Washington team.
So I'm more so concerned of them because you're coming off of what you did last year. So everybody's like, yeah, this and this and that, but I don't know what you have at quarterback. So you can be 6 and whatever on the opposite end of thing, and now people looking at you crazy because of one position.
All right, I'm going to give you two coaches. You tell me which one's more likely to continue the success after what was a really unexpected, successful year one. I'll give you Northwestern. You got David Braun. After everything that was chaos in the offseason, literally right before you're getting into the swing of things. Obviously, we don't need to go into it. Just rough allegations. They get a new head coach. David Braun takes that team 8-5, goes bowling before Nebraska, goes bowling before Dion. Incredible. Big Ten, nobody expected it. Or I'll give you Louisville. Jeff Brom. They won 10 games last year. 10-4, year one.
I'm going with Louisville.
Yeah.
They're in a pass heavy league. They haven't, not that they haven't been dominant, but they've been sneaky good off and on for since Charlie Strong was there.
I was just going to ask, was it before Lamar Jackson when Louisville was kind of starting to figure it out?
Do you know who that quarterback was?
I couldn't give you the exact stats, but I would give you the highlight.
Teddy Bridgewater. he was pretty good. He kind of started off, the run of Louisville kind of, being successful and whatnot. And they've had maybe, a few down years, but for the most part, they've been, I would say, a above 500 team in the ACC. So I think it's them, especially with not how deep the ACC is.
Yeah, that's my other point. It's a lot easier to step in there year one and do some damage in the ACC than it is Big Ten. But that's why I give David Braun, just like Northwestern. Thank God it's an odd year next year. I don't know what it is about Northwestern, but this team, out of all the teams in the Big Ten I have respect for, it's Northwestern. I just don't know how they managed to pull it off consistently. The facilities, they don't win that argument. Fan base, they don't win that argument. They don't win the history argument. They miss on all of these recruiting arguments you could lay out to get great players there. They really don't have a good one for any of them.
They're just fundamentally sound. Like they're a hard working, organizational team. Like that's just like what it is. They're not, the brightest, crown or sharpest crown in the crown box, but
they might be the brightest. I mean, that
part, yes. The schoolwork side of stuff, yes. But shiny being, they're not the shiny new toy. But yet, they work hard and they're annoying. I hated playing Northwestern because it was always, a physical, precise Big Ten game.
Mm-hmm. And they'll Northwestern you. They will. I mean, I'll just. It's crazy. They will take some of the most explosive teams, like when they beat Ohio State for the Big Ten. Like, that was insanity. That on paper had no realistic chance of doing that. And I mean, that was my guy too at the time, who was the quarterbacking that roster. And still, Northwestern, they find a way to get it done. They muddy up the game, make a goal line stand. Northwestern finds a way to pull that one off. How do you feel about Hugh Freeze with Auburn? I mean, is he? I don't want to say he's near the hot seat, but
he definitely is. You know, SEC. Like, I mean, it's
getting warm at least.
I mean, Auburn is competing against Bama, so whatever it is, you know, if you're not up to standards and of things and whatnot, you know, you're not gonna last down there. Their expectations and everything like that are completely, I'm not saying off, but their patience to allow things to kind of develop and whatnot. They want things consistently. They want results now. There's no waiting, and that's honestly probably what majority of the SEC teams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, SEC is, especially right now. I mean, there is blood in the water. Nick Saban's gone.
So exactly. So it's like look, like if he beats Bama, you know, okay, great, fine and dandy. You know, we did fine, but at least we beat Bama. So if he does that, you know, he probably, you know, bought himself a little bit more time. If he don't, and it's not at least an 8-win season, yeah, no, there you know, he might be somewhere else.
Yeah, it's like Michigan, Ohio State. Like, if Michigan takes a significant downfall and everyone's shocked about how far they fall, if they beat Ohio State,
they're like,
you buy some time.
Yeah. It's like, okay, we like you for the rest of this year. We'll see how next year goes.
Especially knowing it's going to be a late game. It's a good note. It's kind of like with Nebraska. It's like, we can beat Iowa. We might be able to smile and forget about everything beforehand. And those rivalries are real. Whether you think it's fair or not, coaches get judged on that stuff. Can you beat your rival? Because just how much it moves the needle. One more guy I want to talk about. We'll see if it's time if we run up to the break. Luke Fickell, 7 games last year. Just how tough the Big Ten is. I don't think he's nowhere near a hot seat. He brought him bowling after year 1, but we've talked about the schedule before. Man, it's a gauntlet. It's a gauntlet for Wisconsin. I think you get 7 wins again. Does it feel like progress? No, but I think looking at the schedule, you'd say you're doing pretty all right if you manage to get 7 games out of that. Looking at Luke Fickell, what are you expecting year 2 Wisconsin?
I mean, people who are year 2 into the offense and year 2 into what, you know, these new coaches in, you see the kids not think as much. They kind of know the expectations. They know what to look for and whatnot. So now it's, you know, the kids playing a lot more freely. They just going off of instincts and off of film instead of like not really being comfortable with it. He runs a tight ship, you know. So I mean, I think 7 games is probably realistic.
Yeah, I think he gets 7. I think the only way he really fails if it's under 6. I think even if you make a bowl game, again, I think Wisconsin fans might even agree with me if they were listening. I don't know how many listen to a Lincoln radio station, but you could just go through that schedule, and if you count 6, you're like, okay, there's some good wins even with 6. Like, yeah. It's a gauntlet of a schedule in there. Yeah, clean up on your non-cons. You're still going to have to beat some juggernauts if you want to go bowling. At least 1 on that schedule given to them. They're interesting. I think what he's done so well on what other programs have failed on in the past when they get a new head coach, I think people were thinking air raid looking at Cincinnati. Looks like Wisconsin. It just looked like Wisconsin when he took over. I think that's kind of the key to taking over a new team, is not just leaving that culture behind. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's your thoughts on that, especially kind of what we've seen here at Nebraska? I mean, is that what makes you feel good about Luke Fickell?
You know, I mean, Wisconsin tried and copied and reinvented, you know, stuff that, you know, we've did in the years past with things and whatnot. It's the Big Ten. Like, you're going to have to be able to run the ball to win you some football games. I think we've seen that bite us, you know, bad during the Mike Riley era, you know, during the Scott Frost era. And whatnot. So, I mean, in the Big Ten, the good teams, you have to be dominant and establish, you know, a run game and kind of have that to be somewhat of your identity. You can look at Ohio State, the running backs that come out of there. You can look at Penn State, the running backs that come out of there. You can look at Michigan, the running backs that come out of there. They're all dominant, dominant programs that run the ball and enforces that. So, I mean, him to have that in year one and whatnot, it makes you a little bit nervous of how things are going to be once the kids get, a lot more comfortable with what he has to bring to the table and whatnot.
Yeah, once he starts adding his own wrinkles in there, I think they will be problematic because, again, it just felt like Wisconsin. He felt like he got in there, did not try to take away from the identity at all. Unfortunately, you can definitely look at that 2017 year, as much as it kills me with the Huskers. I mean, it's kind of the Cali-Brasca movement, like getting away from what we are. It was a weird year, and the record kind of showed it. It was a tough one for Husker Nation. But year 2 with Matt Rule, I think everyone's got a little bit, certainly a different feeling. And again, you look at these year 2 coaches, Dion, Luke Fickell, Matt Rule, Purdue, Ryan Walters for Purdue. Out of all those, you feel pretty damn good about Matt Rule. I think Luke Fickell, Matt Rule, Dion, depending on how you feel about how he's building up those programs, those are all year 2 coaches that I think are pretty far away from that hot seat, what they proved year 1. But something to look at. Year 2 coaches. We're going to wrap it up here on that segment. On the other side, for the last one, I want to talk about where's all the 1,000-yard rushers in the NFL. We have hit an era where they're almost obsolete. It's crazy what it used to be and where we're at now. So we'll talk about that to wrap things up. Don't go anywhere. Don't punt tower.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Okay, kids, Dad's gonna teach you how to dance. First, spread your feet apart. Then, pump your knee, nod your head, shake your hips, and bite your lip ever so slightly. Now, with one hand in the air, point at people with the other hand. I call that the rock star.
Dance like a dad. It's a great way to make a moment with your kids.
Now, make a face like it just smells something bad.
Visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Be a memory for your grandchildren. Among Nebraska adults age 65 or older, 47% report current alcohol use. Drinking too much can cause harm to children, family members, and loved ones. By drinking less, you will still be around for your grandchildren. If you or a loved one is looking for help, find a treatment facility near you at findtreatment.gov. For immediate support, call, text, or chat 988.
Brought to you by Nebraska DHHS in partnership with SAMHSA.
I'm Chris Jakimick. I served in the United States Air Force and I deployed 3 times. So in 2017, I was serving as an Air Force First Sergeant. Our motto in that role is my job is people, everyone is my business. But unfortunately in that year, I would lose my own brother, Lance Corporal Adam Jakimick, to suicide. The majority of veteran suicides are from guns. I store my weapons securely, not only for myself, but for my family. Store all your guns securely. Help stop suicide. My service never stops.
Brought to you by End Family Fire and the Ad Council.
When you're high, you feel different. You think different, you talk different, you draw different, you listen to music different, but you probably knew that. Problem is, you also drive different, and not in a good way. That's why driving high is illegal everywhere. So if you're high, just don't drive. Make a plan to get a sober ride. Because if you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Victor deployed for the first time to Afghanistan in 2003. At 4 a.m, my phone rang. They said, I regret to inform you that your husband was wounded in action. Victor sustained a moderate traumatic brain injury. I was doing school full time, and I was also then caring for Victor. One of the most important elements of caregiving is taking care of yourself. I just didn't want to forget that I also had goals and that I also had a life. What I did is I challenged Victor to meet me halfway. There are almost 6 million military and veteran caregivers across the nation. We have our own journey, and we can fulfill that journey at the same time that we are helping our loved one.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving for a free military veterans guide to navigate your caregiving journey and better care for your loved one and yourself. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Pastor Tom. Did you know there's a place kids can seek out help when they're away from home and something goes wrong? They find themselves in a difficult spot or even a dangerous situation. Maybe another child is bullying them or a stranger is following them. Perhaps on a date and things just go bad. In Lincoln, here's where they can find help. It's called Safe Place. Safe Place is a national program for children taking place in thousands of cities across the United States. The People City Mission is sponsoring this program in our community and has set up a number of businesses, fire stations, schools, and nonprofits around the city to become safe locations where kids can seek out help. They just need to look for the big yellow sign that says Safe Place on it. Then go inside and ask for help. We will be quickly connected to them and ensure they make it back home or to whatever resources are needed. If you'd like to find out more about Safe Place and ways in which you can get involved, just go to pcmlincoln.org. Remember, when we all do a little, we change a lot.
This is where it happens. Long hikes with friends, kayaking adventures with family, more horseback riding, zipline gliding, rock face climbing, hammock camping fun than you could ever imagine. And it's all outdoors, amongst the trees and across the prairie, here beneath Nebraska skies. Plan an outing today at yournebraskaadventure.com. Sponsored by Nebraska Game and Parks, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
This is the Don't Punt Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here is your host, DeMornay Pierson-El.
All right, welcome back in. Final segment of the Don't Punt Hour. We're going to wrap things up here, talking a little bit about NFL and a changing of the times, because these numbers certainly illustrate it. And a little correction there. I used a little bit of clickbait. I said 1,000-yard rushers to better illustrate this point. 12,000-yard rushers, because it is certainly a distance from 2003. If we use a good old stat muse here, 2003, we had 14 running backs with 1,200 plus rushing yards. In 2023, there was only one. Can you name that one running back, 2023, who went over 1,200 yards rushing?
McCaffrey.
Yep, McCaffrey. Only one in 2023 to get to that stat. In 2003, it was Jamal Lewis, 2,000 plus yards. Mon Green, former Husker, 1,800. They had LaDarian Thompson, 1,600. And let's see, Fred
Ederin James, Sean Alexander.
Ricky Williams, Sean Alexander, as you said, Stephen Davis, Curtis Martin, Travis Henry, Ricky Williams. It goes on and on and on. Anyways, you get to 14 of those. 2023, you only got one. Is this ever going to flip back, or is this just the state of the NFL? Are we just pure air raid all the time?
The game has changed from what it used to be. Back in those times, you know, the running back was high value. Now, you know, your running back has to catch out of the backfield, and can play slot pretty much. There, you don't see the running backs being used like Derrick Henry's being used. You don't see that. You know, people are trying to find a hybrid of Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, a Saquon. You know, I mean, the last true running back that I would say was, you know, that they didn't really try and do too much in the passing game was probably Zeke.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're getting away from that type of style of football. You know, they're leaving it mediocre, or, you know, underpaid, or enough to just, you know, keep the chains moving and whatnot. If you're good, they got you for 4 or 5 years. They might franchise tag you to get, you know, year 6 in there, and then after that, you know, it's on to the next thing. But, you know, they want these quarterbacks throwing bombs. You know, they want the high-profile offense. So the game of football is going away from the type of game that, you know, we might have used to been seeing.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you. I was hoping you could convince me that maybe it will come back, but no, sir, just the way the market is too. Even if you do have a team that likes to run the ball a lot, it is a lot more running back by committee because you're not paying a guy an insane amount of money. You got multiple guys that are all getting smaller deals to where you can do a little bit by committee and just see who's got it going on that day. You're not worried about keeping your superstar healthy because even if he is, you're not necessarily paying them crazy amounts of money compared to the other skill positions. Out of those backs, though, we've kind of just mentioned, who's going to be the 12,000 plus yard back this year? Do we have one? Do we have multiple? Who do you like?
I like Derrick Henry, honestly, in Baltimore. I think that's going to be a cheat code. That's not going to be fair at all. Him.
Saquon, I'm unsure about. I don't think he's going to do it.
But Saquon with that offensive line, because you still have 2 Pro Bowlers on that line.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got 2 or 3 other guys that, that have been there and that's been surrounded with Kels, and then you got Jorgen stepping in, who he's going to be a 15-year Pro Bowl. He'll get his.
Yeah.
So you got that dominant of an offensive line. Like, good luck with Saquon. Like, he's gonna get 5 yards on average, probably.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever reason, we've talked about it, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. They haven't been able to produce big explosive runs in Philadelphia. New OC, big upgrade at running back position. Feels like things are going to be clicking for him just fine. I'd Saquon, I'm still just unsure because I haven't seen it from the Eagles. But yeah, Derrick Henry, I think that one's self-explanatory. I know if I'm playing Madden and they get the Ravens, reroll. I'm not playing those guys. That just feels broken. Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. You look at the wide receiver core too, especially the fact that Lamar Jackson seemed to really find his groove throwing the ball. Team to watch. Certainly to watch out for. Probably the best quarterback running back duo that's in the league going forward next year. So plenty of things to talk about. We'll keep talking about it as we get closer and closer to football. I believe we're less than 50 days away from college football. So don't go anywhere. We're going to keep it rolling. We're going to hear from a current Husker here shortly. Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda, the Husker wide receiver, with the former Husker tight end, Chancellor Brewington, all up next. Don't go anywhere.